Hi guys, Brittany from Atlas. Today I want to talk about avoiding injuries when you start a walking routine. Walking has a lot of great health benefits. We have another video that talks about that. But one of the worst ways to start off a new routine is by hurting yourself. There's some easy things you can do to keep yourself from getting injured as you start your new routine. The first is to start light and be consistent. So when you start, you want to pick something that's attainable, as in a 15-minute walk that you do every single day, as opposed to going out and doing an hour when you haven't been walking at all. That's the equivalent to going out and running a marathon when you haven't even run a day. So by going out and overdoing right away, you might be more susceptible to injury, and then you don't want to do it again because you hurt, and that puts off your whole timeline of your goals. So instead, you want to focus on consistency over volume. So a good way to start is just a 10 to 15 minute walk, something that's not going to make you super sore the next day, and do that every day for a week. That's going to be much better off. And then when you're done with that week, you can increase the next week. And the rule of thumb is to increase by 10%. Now that could be increasing the time you walk if you want to measure by time. It could be increasing the distance that you go. It could also be increasing the intensity. So if you want to walk faster, or if you want to walk up hills as opposed to flat, you want to keep that 10% in mind. And it's a general idea, so sometimes you can measure it, distance, time, but the intensity is kind of a little bit different to measure. Just do your best to keep it low. Just think low and consistent versus high volumes all at once. Another thing you can do is by having good walking shoes. And I would say that there's no one brand that's a go-to. It kind of depends on your foot and your activity level. The best thing you can do is go into a shoe store that has shoes for walking and running, that has lots of different ones. So instead of going to a single brand store, you go to a shoe store for walkers and runners, and then they have all the different brands they can choose from. The hard thing is that shoes change year to year, and so recommending one type now doesn't really mean anything. 6 months from now, they might be different. So going in there, you can talk to them about what you want to do. You can just say, hey, I want to start a walking program. I want to make sure I don't get hurt. They usually can look at your feet a little bit, see what works best for you, how much support you need, and get going. The next thing you can do is to not walk on hard surfaces all of the time. Now, that's not always avoidable, but I would say in general, when you're first beginning, to really try to pick softer surfaces can help decrease the impact on your joints. So walking on trails or a track that's a rubber track, or on grass, or even just mixing it up, not always walking on concrete, maybe walking on the grass by the side of the sidewalk instead of on the sidewalk the whole time, going in and out, can just give your joints a little bit of a break from that constant pounding of the hard concrete. The last thing is to walk in a way that is congruent with your body's techniques. Now, what I mean by that is the biggest thing we see in injury with walking and running is overstriding. I tend to find this is when people are starting to get good at walking and they're really into it, and then they want to go faster. And by doing that, you usually take larger steps. So they really reach for a larger step to go faster. And that actually is the #1 risk factor for injury. So by reaching too far, we just put too much pressure on our ankles, knees, hips, low back. And so instead what you want to do is walk your same stride length and just more turnover. So keeping your feet closer into your body and then getting a quicker turnover. It feels like more work because it is more work for your muscles, but you are avoiding that long stretch that really puts a lot of impact on each step. Okay, if you want more tips, you can leave us a comment below, and I'll see you next time.